welcome back to another episode of Uncut and Uncensored. And today is one of my favorite topics, and I'm being joined by the amazing Leslie Kenny, who is an Oxford-based longevity expert and a Harvard alumni, and has founded the company Primadine. Primadine?
Primadine is the name of the brand.
Primadine.
Yep. And all about longevity, healthy aging, age reversal.
I mean, I'm all about this. I've actually just flown to San Diego to go and do MRIs and I do peptides and things like this. So I am fascinated by longevity and turning back the clock. I mean, I'm 50, you're 60.
You look amazing.
So do you. So, and I think it's all about longevity today. I mean, it's all about wellness, all about longevity. Tell me about your company, because I mean, this is just, I've never heard of Spermidine.
Well, you probably have encountered it. We all make it in our tissues when we're younger. We make it in our gut biome. It's in all plants, but of course, it's in semen. And that's where the crazy name comes from. Don't blame me. It was actually named by a 17th century Dutch biologist. But I started Oxford Healthspan because the science around this awkwardly named compound was simply too compelling to keep it locked up in a lab. And the reason why it's so compelling is because it activates a cell renewal and cleanup process called autophagy. That's just Greek for self-eating, but it's really like Marie Kondo for your cells. It comes in with a magic wand and garbage bag and basically declutters all the rubbish, and it turns the old back into new again. And this is frankly the holy grail for age reversal. We don't necessarily want to get rid of what we have, we just want the new version of it, right? People always say, if you undergo plastic surgery, I don't want to be different. I want to be me, but just better.
10 years ago.
Exactly. And that's what autophagy does. And it's such important science that a Japanese scientist was given the Nobel Prize for his research on autophagy in 2016. We happen to work with that scientist consortium in Japan. We're the only non-Japanese company that's part of the Japan Autophagy Consortium. But the cell renewal aspect is not the only thing that Spermidine does. Scientists now agree that there are 12 distinct pathways down which we get older. And some of these are things you'll know about, like stem cell dysfunction, mitochondrial dysfunction, shortened telomeres, inflammation, gut dysbiosis, and also impaired autophagy. But Spermidine inhibits 9 out of 12 of these. And that's why the New York Post called Spermidine the Swiss Army knife for longevity, because it does so many things.
How would you compare this? Because, right now, obviously with wellness being so big on everybody's list, and I feel like with Instagram and TikTok, we're all being fed so many things to sort of make ourselves look younger. How do we know which way to go? And how, as I said, how does this compare? This goes into a smoothie?
You can put that into a smoothie. You can spread it on your acai bowl, your oatmeal. You can put it, in a yogurt bowl, however you want. It tastes nice. It's got a slightly sweet, nutty flavor to it naturally because we have a food-derived Spermidine. So we take the whole food from wheat germ. We then remove the polyunsaturated fatty acids, which make up about 50% of wheat germ. They are very fragile, and once they are exposed to oxygen, they go rancid. It's just like, almonds or walnuts at Christmas. When you bite into something that's gone rancid, it's off, and wheat germ is very prone to that. So all we've done is remove those PUFAs, and we've then added in a prebiotic fiber, which helps feed the gut bugs, the friendly bacteria in your gut biome that are capable of making more Spermidine for you.
but break it down. Like, I know why I'm taking my peptides. If I
Yeah.
would you replace this? What is this going to do? This is reversing the cell production?
Yeah, so let's
Or
think about peptides like BPC 157. And I'll just say, right off the bat, I'm not a peptides expert, but that's very good for healing tissues. And while spermidine is also helpful for wound healing, BPC 157 is going to be stronger. If you have, say, torn a ligament or something, then you would choose the BPC 157, or you could stack them together. But let's look at something that everybody knows about, which is NAD or NMN.
okay, so because you've got to remember you have studied this. So for most people out there,
Yeah.
you're talking Japanese right
Okay,
now. So
okay.
let's pretend you're talking to children.
Okay.
Because that's where we are. Because
Okay.
the average person doesn't understand the medical terms or anything.
Okay.
What I think women want to listen to or understand is what are the beauty benefits. It's as simple as that
okay.
today. So,
Sure.
I if I'm taking NAD, and I think NAD became really popular after watching people like, Hailey Bieber, the Kardashians,
Yeah,
they're
right,
all
right.
doing it. Exactly. And that's
Right.
how people really got to know it in the mainstream.
Yeah.
So mainstream wise, what am I expecting from taking spermidine?
Okay, so let's look at NAD, which is basically just a variant of vitamin B3 or niacin. All American cereals are fortified with vitamin B3. Why did people take it? It's because inside the cell we have a little power plant. They're called mitochondria, and when they get tired as we get older, it's like you have a need to replace the battery. It's like a battery in your flashlight or your torch. You need to replace it every now and then, and that's what NAD does. However, if you just get a new torch or flashlight, then which has a brand new battery, you don't actually need to change the battery. And that's what spermidine does, is it actually activates a process not just of cell renewal, but of mitochondrial or energy factory renewal, so that you actually get a new cell with a new battery, and you don't, in fact, need to necessarily top up with getting a brand new battery in there, which is what NAD would be. I think the reason why people haven't heard about spermidine is that it is found in food. It's not possible to get a patent on spermidine. And in fact, when I was introduced to this science at Oxford by some investors who were looking at all the science at the University of Oxford, I said, hey, I think this is there's great science here. Why don't you invest in me? We all know women-led companies tend to have difficulty getting investment. And they said, oh, well, we would, but there's no patent, so we can't. Because you can't get a patent on a food molecule, right? However, what we've done is we have a unique and patented process in order to extract it from food. Now, let's think about what it does for the visible signs of aging, because what I've been talking about before are the things that happen under the hood at the cellular level. So they're like the bricks in the house of our body. We want those to be young and beautiful so that all the rest of the house is in a perfect state. But how this manifests in our physical outlook is better hair, skin, and nails. Why? Because these are areas where there's a lot of cell proliferation. Think about it, even when we're 80, you still see men with long white beards. Although everything else seems to have stopped, the cells are still there making hair molecules, right? They're still there making those hair cells. And what we want to do instead is actually make sure that hair, skin, and nails stay young. And spermidine can do that because it pushes hair follicles back into the growth phase of the hair life cycle. So if we think about hair, it has 3 stages in its life cycle: the growth phase, the resting phase, and the shedding phase. And the older we get, the less time our hair follicles spend in the growing phase. Now, the growth phase, when we're young, can last 7 years. And that's why when we're 16, we can have hair down to our backsides, right? All that wonderful, luscious, glossy hair, and it's thick, and it's not problematic getting it past our shoulders. But as we get older, the amount of time our hair spends in the growth phase shortens down to, say, 3 years or less. And this is why a lot of women, in particular post-menopause, say they can't grow hair past their shoulders, or why they all put in hair extensions. Right? And I do see this quite a lot. A lot of women complain about losing their eyelashes. And although you can put in fake eyelashes on the top lid, you can't do that with the lower lid. But Spermidine can regrow these lashes for you. Now, for women who use things like Latisse, which grows lashes longer, that usually works. However, some women are sensitive and they get melasma. And the last thing you want when you're trying to get longer lashes to attract attention to your eyes is raccoon eyes, where you have all this pigmentation from, say, Latisse. So you can get the benefits of longer lashes and longer hair, as well as thicker eyebrows, simply by increasing the amount of food-derived spermidine in your diet and also in supplement form. So those are some examples. I can talk about nails, I can talk about skin. Just let me know where you want to go.
So obviously, because again, we're introducing, and it's about beauty in women, and over 40, I think we're heading towards menopause. There's perimenopause. Everybody's looking at ways to stay hormonally balanced. Obviously your hair begins to shed, your skin isn't as glowy, and I'm on this complete skin and health journey myself, and that's why we're being thrown different things. What makes it different from buying biotin or buying, I think we just have so many different options today that it's trying to figure out what's the best one for each person. Is it one size fits all? This is great for all women, or is this men as well?
It's good for both men and women. So like I said in the beginning, we naturally make it in our tissues when we're young, but as we get older, around age 26, our production stops. And we're then completely reliant on our gut biome being healthy. And if we've been exposed to broad spectrum antibiotics, we may have wiped out the populations of healthy, friendly bacteria that can make more spermidine for us. At the same time, we are reliant on getting it from plants as well. And if we eat the standard American diet or the standard Western diet, we're going to get a lot of ultra-processed food and not the plant material we need that has spermidine in it. Now, if I think about going back to hair, I'm 60. I do not dye my hair. I don't have any extensions or anything. This is just how it is.
That's amazing.
I went through a divorce last year. I have some gray, so you can see I'm not lying. I really don't dye it. But, in terms of integrity, you don't see a lot of those zigzaggy white hairs that women are prone to get as they go through the menopause.
And you said that actually you have done your metabolic age, and you're in your 20s.
So my biological age is 21 according to glycan age, and that is looking at the levels of inflammation in my body. Now, because at age 39, I was told I had lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and at the time I had undiagnosed Hashimoto's, and I was told to stop what I was doing. I was in the middle of my 5th IVF round. I was told, stop this, you're going to die in 5 years. You have to not carry this forward because even if you're successful, you might leave a child motherless, so it's pointless. And you should expect your lupus to get worse. In other words, I might have been chronologically 39 at the time, but I was biologically around 60. But what I've done in the intervening years, putting my lupus and RA and Hashis into remission, is I have unwittingly reversed my biological age, such that now it's 39 years younger than my actual age.
I actually just saw as well, you were saying that, for fertility.
Yeah.
It actually reverses the age for fertility, so that means that you can have a baby in your mid to late 50s. Is that
Well,
what?
I'm not saying that because we would need more clinical trials, but it definitely helps with fertility. So one of the ways that we measure if a woman has gone into menopause is not just has she lost her cycle for a year. If we were to do an ultrasound and look at the number of eggs she had left, something called ovarian reserve, or looking at a count called anti-Mullerian hormone, these are things that basically check how many eggs we have left. And in a study in China, and I say this was an animal study, they took older female mice that had low ovarian reserve and they gave them spermidine. And what they noticed was that these animals that were given spermidine increased their ovarian reserve, they increased their egg quality, they increased egg production, and they had higher embryo production. So once they introduced sperm to the eggs, they had more embryos. And this is really tantalizing because for women, it's not just about how we look on the outside, but it's also about our reproductive age because that links to all of our hormones. And we know that when we are optimized for estrogen, for progesterone, for testosterone, everything works, not just fertility, but libido works, our brain works better, our mood is better. And so if we can actually reverse the age of these reproductive organs, we have the possibility to also improve our hormonal state. And in fact, there was a study in Canada using a wheat germ-derived spermidine. And these individuals, both men and women, saw a decrease of around 50% in cortisol. In the men, testosterone went up just under 50%. In the women, estrogen went up by 37%. Progesterone increased, but in both men and women, two precursor hormones, they're called DHEA, and that's a kind of anti-aging supplement as well, and pregnenolone, both of these went up. And you need those in order to increase your reproductive hormones. And these are the things that give us the young, dewy skin, that gives us the glossy long hair, that gives us the shiny nails. All of these things are social signifiers of, frankly, fertility.
But I also feel, again, today that, we have, it's more, I'm committed to so many things right now. So I do the hormone replacement,
Good.
I do peptides,
Yeah.
I do all of those things. So you just work it into your day-to-day routine with all your other
Yeah, just put it into
things.
your smoothie. So the thing is, so with peptides, you can be quite targeted, right? I had
Yeah.
a knee injury last year and I did BPC 157. I was doing some exosomes and I did that specifically for that injury. But with spermidine, it's water soluble. It's like vitamin C. You take it in and you're going to excrete it. So you need to constantly top it up. Now, the
So
good
like a
news,
collagen that you would
Yes,
put in.
exactly,
the same.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
you would add your collagen and your spermidine to a
Yes,
smoothie.
yes.
And then, so you
And-
just have it as part of your diet with
Yes.
all the other things that you were doing, because it's not, I would say you work it into your health plan,
Yeah.
right? Because, I don't think it's replacing estrogen and testosterone.
It will
right?
increase those. It will
Yeah.
increase those. It has almost adaptogenic effects like ashwagandha or rhodiola. It will rebalance. If you have too much of something, it will bring it back down. And this modulating effect on the reproductive hormones, but also on the immune, the inflammatory markers are what I really like best about it. The way that we talk about collagen today, I believe in 3 years, everybody's going to be talking about whole food derived spermidine. And, it's one of those things where the science is solid. Like I said, it gives you more bang for your longevity buck because you're inhibiting 9 of those pathways, of those 12 pathways down which we age. So if we think about aging, it's like driving a car, and we actually want to drive the aging car as slowly as possible so we stay younger for longer. And spermidine will take care of 75% of those pathways.
And so what else do you do for yourself in your whole sort of longevity journey? It can't just be spermidine. So like, yeah.
Like you, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy is huge. And I recommend that to all women, even women who have breast cancer in their family history. Please talk to your doctor about this. There are things that you can do to help detoxify any estrogens that might be potentially carcinogenic. Like,
Oh yeah,
right?
I hear that quite a lot because I actually have a girlfriend of mine who really wanted to do peptides and all that. She goes, "Oh, I can't. My sister has cancer." Is that true? Can you? Because you can like.
So,
if you get the right doctor, you can find a happy medium for everyone to be able to do all of these things.
I would say generally you can. I can't speak to peptides because I'm not a peptides expert.
No, yeah.
But with regard to bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, yes, you can take N-acetylcysteine, you can take glutathione, you can take DIM, which is derived from broccoli. You can take calcium D-glucarate. All four of these are powerful detoxifiers, and they will get rid of the potentially carcinogenic form of estrogen. But let's remember that the whole breast cancer and HRT scare was based on the old synthetic hormones. What we have today are the bioidenticals, which are derived from soy and yam. And it's another reason why I am so fiercely an advocate for whole food derived spermidine, because I've seen a lot of cheap synthetic spermidine out there. It's written as spermidine HCl or spermidine THCl or 3-HCl.
What is that in?
It's a synthetic chemical. And
but where would you have seen that? It was in foods.
I've seen it never in foods. It's always in spermidine supplements, and sometimes in longevity supplements. I've seen it. And what people don't understand is this has never been tested for safety or efficacy in humans. There was one 28-day study in older men in one of these synthetic variants. But, why would you want to go with the synthetic? We all watched our mothers struggle with synthetic hormone replacement therapy when you can have the real compound, which is just like bioidentical HRT, you can get food-derived spermidine. And that is the one with which we've co-evolved for millennia. It's safe.
But what would be your top longevity tips for women?
BHRT number one. Number two, doing what you did when you went to San Diego. Get an MOT. Every one of us is bio-individual. I don't know what your girlfriend's, Achilles heel would be, or yours or mine. You have to test. Don't guess. It's not a one-size-fits-all plan. Some women are going to be low in iron. Some will be too high. Some will be low in glutathione. Others will be just fine. And so you do need to get a baseline. And in particular, as we head towards menopause, do the baseline if you can while you are young and healthy, so that you always have a metric to look back at, right? For me, I don't want to feel like every 50-year-old in Great Britain. I want to feel like I did when I was in my 20s at my peak, right? And so you need that baseline as a reference. And then every year, if you can, get that baseline again, right? Check and see where you are and correct.
I did an MRI and did like 6 hours of testing. Now, if other women, if that's quite a big, long haul and an expensive thing to do, obviously, what would be the basic one that people should go and do so that they know their baseline?
Well, I would get a good functional medicine doctor. I would have that doctor do an intake history to find out. Usually there are symptoms that we have, niggles and aches and things that we can say, my bones don't feel right, my muscles, I feel weak, or I'm breathless. List all of those things, and based on your intake history, the functional medicine doctor will then say you should take this battery of tests. And you might have a lot of gastric issues. GI issues are not uncommon with women. Or you might have bone pain, or you might have brain fog. But each of those things will then correlate to a discrete panel of tests where they can zone in on what exactly is going on, with say something neurological, or with something related to bone, or with something related to the GI tract. But get that done, and you can find these doctors by going to ifm.org. That's the Institute for Functional Medicine, ifm.org. And they have doctors listed in all countries around the world. Then just cross-reference, look at the reviews, the patient reviews of these doctors. And if you were then to go in for basic history intake and blood panel, possibly urine, saliva, like cortisol saliva test, that would probably cost you, would surely cost you under £1,000. And, the doctor's appointment at the beginning, at the end, because they have to make recommendations once your results are back, would probably run you another £600. So for £1,600, probably less than £1,600, you would get a really detailed look at what's going on, and much more than you would get from, say, going to the GP.
I think the biggest thing that women in their mid to late 40s is just exhaustion.
Yeah.
We're tired, you've got the mood swings, you're grumpy.
Yeah.
And most of us have children we're running after, and jobs, and you name it.
Yeah.
Divorces.
Yeah.
It's an exhausting time. Like, what would you say is the best thing to bring back? I mean, you seem to, even though you've just said you've just been through a divorce and all of that, you have this really youthful sort of glow about you, but on top of that, you look to have a lot of energy in you. Like, how are you getting, what do you think the number one is for energy? Because I would say that my beauty and energy are what people are looking for.
Yeah.
The skin glow.
Yeah. Well, thank you, first of all, for saying those kind things. I think it's true that if we are in toxic relationships, even if these are good people, sometimes the combinations don't work. Once we are out of those relationships, we can feel a weight is lifted, and we gain energy that way.
Oh, yes.
But one of the biggest problems I see with women, in particular in the UK and the US, is undiagnosed thyroid dysfunction.
Okay, I need to stop you there, because I hear that so much.
Yeah.
I have a thyroid problem. And
Yeah.
sometimes, you have friends that are overweight.
Yeah.
And I think when we get to mid 40s, this is a big one.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to lose a bit of weight.
Yeah.
And I hear I have a thyroid problem, or I can't take Manjaro or whatever because I have a thyroid problem. I feel like it's like everyone's been diagnosed with a thyroid problem. How do you know if that is really true?
Well, what I would do is get at least 3, if not 4, blood tests done. One would be for your TSH, that's thyroid stimulating hormone. Mm-hmm. Next would be T4. This is the raw thyroid hormone. T3 is, for me, one of the most important tests, and that's generally not given in the UK. T3 is the bioavailable, bioactive form of thyroid hormone, and you have to convert T4 into T3. And a lot of women can't make that conversion. And then the other test would be something called RT3, reverse T3, or reverse thyroid hormone, because sometimes when, for instance, we fast, our bodies sense fear. And I've just come from the Six Senses Resort in Portugal. And yes, we have 5 senses, hearing, sight, taste, touch, but we have a sixth sense, and it's a kind of intuition. And women have a highly developed sixth sense because we are here to recreate the human race. And we have antennae everywhere, constantly scanning the horizon. Is it safe or is it a threat? And one of the biggest threats is no food. And all these women are fasting. And if you fast, you give a signal to your body there's not enough food. Doesn't matter if you were the person controlling the food or not. The body senses scarcity and says, it's not a good time to have a baby. So now let's just shut down the reproductive system. And then some women lose their periods. But guess what? The other thing it does is it raises this hormone called RT3, reverse thyroid 3. And that sits on your thyroid receptors and it basically seat blocks. It's like that annoying person on the bus that won't give up the seat for you even though you're exhausted. So this blocking hormone goes up when we overfast, when we are constantly giving the signal that there is not enough food. And that's why women counterintuitively, a couple can do a fast together. The men lose weight like it's, water off their backs. The women gain weight sometimes. And that would be showing activity of this reverse T3.
That actually happened to me. I was going to climb the Himalayas with my husband, and the man I was climbing with said, look, eat because you're going to be walking a lot, so stock up, and there won't be as much food when you're with 12 days on a mountain. And I put on weight up that mountain. I was the only one. The men lost nearly a stone, and I came home fatter than I was. And I'm like, how on earth did that happen?
Well,
that must be that.
Your body probably thought, what is this environment? Why is she reducing her oxygen intake?
That I don't understand either.
Why is she moving so much? This looks like a really scary environment. Let us just put on some weight because we need to prepare for a rainy day. So women's bodies are so finely attuned to this, and they are there to keep us alive. So when you went up the mountain, your body was like, okay, there's going to be a blizzard. There's not going to be enough food. This looks like a terrible situation. I've got to keep Caroline alive.
It was minus 18, so we were freezing.
So that's your body's protective survival mechanism kicking into gear.
Fantastic.
And I know, but it's not the result that we women want.
I was so excited to come home thin.
Yeah, and that is the expectation. But remember that the studies are primarily done in men because women's menstrual cycles confound scientific data, right? Scientists think, I can't deal with this woman's menstrual cycle happening here. There's another woman and hers is about to start in 2 weeks. It completely messes up their data. So most of the research on these things that are popularized in the press have been done on men, not on women. And we are not, you've heard this before, we're not little men, right?
No, I know. I mean, I also go through that because, my husband wants to work out with me all the time and wants to, exactly like this, take the same supplements, do the same things, but we're completely different. How can a 30-year-old man who was an athlete be the same as a 49-year-old woman who was definitely not an athlete? I mean, we have a huge, obviously, age gap too. But forget that. We can't possibly be on the same schedule or need the same workouts. And I think that's very important because so many couples sort of want to put themselves into training together, taking the same supplements together, doing the wellness journey together. And that's great because you can spur each other on to look fabulous. And go through all this, and maybe you want to lose weight, shred, or whatever it is that you're looking to do, reverse your longevity. But I do believe it's very individual.
Yes, it's completely bio-individual. So the difference between men and women is stark. It really is night and day. But even just between women, think of someone who is just 10 years younger than you are. They haven't necessarily yet started down the perimenopause pathway, but they're about to. Their blood test results, their reproductive hormones will look very different from a woman who's 49 who has not done bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. And thyroid is going to be different for a woman who has had children and a woman who has not. Why is that? Because women, when we are carrying a baby in utero, the baby is 100% reliant on our thyroid to make the thyroid hormone to keep it alive. And what does thyroid hormone do? It helps with brain development. So a lot of women who are hypothyroid tend to miscarry continually. Why? It's the body's quality control system saying there's not enough thyroid hormone to make the brain develop properly in this woman. Once you get the thyroid hormone up, those women tend to be able to carry pregnancies to term with healthy babies. Now, if you've had, say, 3 children, you have gone through this process of over-stressing your thyroid 3 times. And if you've done this as an older woman, which many of us are, I ended up delivering a healthy baby, biological baby at age 43. I had an older thyroid. And I was stressing it at age 43 to produce extra hormone for my daughter. Now, as soon as the baby's delivered, often the thyroid says, okay, that's it, I'm done, did my job, I am out of here. And women notice that they are brain fogged, they're exhausted, they can't shift the baby weight. Maybe they did it after pregnancy 1 or pregnancy 2, but after pregnancy 3, nope, it's not happening. And what they need is to get their thyroid tested, and they need to top up. And I see different countries around the world have different blood reference ranges. And we always have to remember that the reference range is what is normal in one country is simply based on the standard blood profile for all other women of that age. It doesn't mean that these are healthy women. So if you're in a country where, the United Kingdom has something like, let's say 25% obesity among women my age in the UK. The reference ranges are going to be skewed by other women who 25% of whom are obese and their thyroid hormone ranges, and they will contribute to what appears to be a normal thyroid range. Well, I want to be as good as I was in my 20s, and I only want to look at reference ranges that have to do when I was in peak health, not other people around me. I want to be like someone younger, to be honest. And unfortunately, the reference ranges are really for, in my age group, they're going to say, oh, for a 60-year-old, you look great. But that's not the reference range I want. UK reference ranges are vastly different from, say, France or Germany. And so somebody who would be given treatment in those countries will not be given treatment in the UK.
Well, I mean, I went when I was getting, when did I last have a baby? I guess I was 35, and my husband and I went to do IVF now, and they said that I would be a geriatric pregnancy, which I actually, and that's in the UK, and I actually really find that offensive.
Yeah.
Especially when your husband's 20 years younger, that's not really, you want to be walked through the door and told that you're having a geriatric, a way to take the joy out of it.
Yeah.
And slap you around your face to your face and think it's absolutely normal. And I do think that we have to change the way we look at older women, because we are definitely not aging the same way anymore.
And we have to look at biological age, right? Our age is not determined by the number of candles on the birthday cake. It's really judged by how we are biologically. And I had, I conceived at 42, delivered at 43, completely normally, no intervention whatsoever. But at age 39, when I did my 5th IVF, I went through that process, I was told your eggs are too old, there's no chance for you. You have
But they say it like that.
Yeah, you're
they
too
say
old.
it like that.
Yeah.
It's insanity, the way they speak to you. Like it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
You're really, this is a miracle.
Because
you get
it's an answer, and doctors are great students, and great students, what do? They give the correct answers. They're rewarded
and they're
for
not
that.
interested in looking outside the box. It was funny because we've just been traveling, and my husband went on a bike ride with my friend's mother. Now, mind you, neither of us asked how old she was, and they went on, it was 3 hours, and he said, she said, you better take, try and keep up with me. He's like, I'm an athlete. Anyway, she left him for dust, put it that way. And he had to stop, he's a pro athlete.
Yeah.
He stopped. He just couldn't believe they went for 3 solid hours. And we found out yesterday, because he thought she was mid-60s. She's 76. 76.
Yeah, good
And
for
he
her.
couldn't believe it. I mean, he was halfway between that response of good for her, and the other half was like, I've just been, shocked that a 76-year-old woman
Yeah.
has left him for dust.
Yeah. No.
And that's just, that's what's so incredible.
Yeah.
And living full lives. And I think, the books need to be changed now.
But this is where you can, make such an impact, because you're living proof that age is just a number, right? And that biological age is way more important. I think it's so crucial for people to understand that aging does not have to mean decline. But it does mean you just can't sit on your hands and do nothing. You have to be proactive. And you're doing all the things, but other people need to get with the program too.
You need to, that's what I say. I think too many people rely on old school doctors.
Yeah.
And old school doctors are there for a reason, and they're great, and it's not an easy job, don't get me wrong, and they they have to work between in the confinements they've been given and what they've been given, and I don't envy that job, but I actually have a longevity doctor as well, who is paid to think outside the box, who is paid to make me look like this and to feel like this. And he will go, no, that is an old school way of thinking. So you have a doctor that you go to when you have ailments, and then you have a longevity doctor that you see for something else. And I think that is the way forward.
I would agree with that 100%. And I think that it's really important for us people like us, to walk the talk and to be examples, living proof of what is possible. I mean, people could not believe that my glycan age test results were as young as they were, in particular because of the inflammatory diseases I previously was diagnosed with. But the body it's a masterpiece. It is such a complex, beautiful system, and it responds to the inputs we give it. And the same way that it responded to you going up the Himalayas by, probably increasing reverse T3 and holding on to body weight for you, it will respond if we do the things that we know we should, better sleep, movement, good food.
Agreed.
No toxic people.
Well, I want to say exactly that, actually, ladies, because, it's a great place to sort of end this. But just to say that it's not too late, even if you've had a hardcore lifestyle and you partied hard when you were younger, you've, I don't know, done all the things, you smoked, you drank. I definitely smoked, I drank, I partied when I was in my teens in London, like I would go out and drink to all hours in the morning. So I was not looking forward to get that MRI. I was nervous, and I get it. I was like, oh my God, they're going to find everything. Plus there's Parkinson's in the family. There's, all of these hereditary diseases. I was like, so I know that it is scary to people. Some people go, I'd rather not know. I went, I did it because, I thought, well, they can fix things. And let me tell you what they said. They said, I'm in perfect shape. Perfect. I'll outlive everybody. Nothing wrong with me at all. So please don't not go because you're scared. Don't not go because if they find something, you don't know what you're going to do with it. Because let me tell you, they can reverse a lot of things. And if you decide in your 40s, you're no longer going to smoke, you're no longer to drink, and exactly what you said, get rid of toxic people, people that drain you, toxic, horrible people. Do more to your body, because your stomach knots up. Clean your life like that. You can fix everything. You really can.
And that's the whole point, is we are now entering a new age of age reversal, longer life, but that means healthier, vibrant, sharp, gorgeous life as we get older. And 80 is not going to look like it was for our grandparents. We are going to be the pioneers, and we're going to make it look fabulous.
We are. Thank you so much, Leslie, for today. That was fascinating. I am going to be incorporating your things into my day to day. I love it. I love the idea of spermidine. And I will be eating it every day, and I'll let you know how it goes.
Fantastic. Look forward
Lovely
to
to
hearing
speak to
from
you.
Great
For
talking
sure.
to you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to another episode of Uncut and Uncensored. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and any of your comments, and we will get back to you. Thank you. That was really good.
Thank you
Sorry.
very much. That
Okay.
was really fun.
Yeah, we have. Sorry, even though you're advertising it, it's always better to make it a bit part of a bigger picture. Otherwise,
I
people
agree.
just shut off.
I agree. No,
Yeah.
I completely agree.
And
And I'm very passionate about the thyroid stuff because
Yeah.
it's a travesty how women are treated in the UK. Really
No,
bad.
100%. And you'll do a lot better when it feels more
Oh, yeah.
objective, like
Yeah.
with lots of different things. Trust
Yeah.
me, because I do the advertising every
I-
single day.
I agree
Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you. So nice to meet
Lovely
you.
meeting you.
Fascinating.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.